Hello and welcome to Matt's Mosh Pit. And tonight I had the opportunity to sit down with the one and only Blaze Bayley. But before I get into that, I just want to say thank you so much for all the love and support you've shown me and my channel so far. It truly means a lot, and I could not do these cool things without you. Blaze Bayley. I had an amazing opportunity to sit down and have a conversation with him. And I had to take it. I'm a huge Iron Maiden fan. And so I've been really, really excited for this. And I realized today, though, that it seemed like all of the forces in the world were against me. I woke up with a sty on my eye, which was really weird because I'm sitting there going, I have to be on camera for this. What am I going to do? I thought about, should I wear sunglasses because, that way it won't be too off-putting. But then I realized, I've never met Blaze before. And first time I'm meeting him, if I'm wearing sunglasses, that might get weird. So I chose, it's not that bad. Let me just run with it. And so I've got that in my head. And then as we were doing the interview, it seemed like the internet gods were not in our favor. We literally got cut off multiple times. And so, but you know what though? Blaze was such a trooper, and we just kept, we knocked this out, and I had a great time, great conversation. And, if you guys have seen anything with Blaze in the past, he's just such a stand-up, solid guy. And that's pretty much what I've seen in the past videos was exactly what I got. He's just a great guy, and I can't wait to share this interview with you. So, I know I say this a lot, but without me droning on and on, let's just go right to the tape. So here you go, my interview with the one and only Blaze Bayley. I am so excited, folks. I am here with the one and only Blaze Bayley. How are you doing, sir?
Good, thank you.
You should know that I should give you a heads up. Just this channel was all predicated on my finding Iron Maiden 2 years ago. Like I've been hiding under, yes, I've been hiding under a rock. And so I found them 2 years ago, which means I got the whole catalog at the same time. So 17 albums basically of this is what I get to go through. And so that's how I found you. The interesting thing was I saw them in concert, and that started the whole thing. And Sign of the Cross was a song that just stood out to me when they performed it. And so I, immediately went to the album, and I was like, Bruce sounds different for some reason, but it was still great. And then I was tipped off that it wasn't Bruce. And so then I heard the whole story, and I've gotten into your solo stuff, and it's just amazing. Quite frankly, can't thank you enough for, the work that you've done. But that's just a little bit of my history with, how I found you. So I don't have that whole 30-year span of all of that good stuff. But like I said, truly an honor to meet you. And so I just wanted to get started in early stuff. When did you hear your first metal song? Like where like that's metal, that's what I want to be. Like that just speaks to me. With that, just wondering what that song was.
Well, we're very lucky in the UK. I'm going back in time. I'm a dinosaur. We had a chart rundown every week, and it was around the time of new wave of British heavy metal, and Judas Priest, Motorhead, Iron Maiden were coming through. It was around the time Sex Pistols were starting as well. And if those bands got into the charts, they were on the radio on a Sunday in the top 40. So you got to hear, really, those were the first times as a young teenager. And then as I got older, like around 14, 15, then we'd go to each other's houses and listen to records, and a couple of fans. Really, we didn't differentiate too much between punk and metal. We liked what we liked, but it was all music with a lot of energy. But one of the songs that really stands out to me, I mean, we listened to Led Zeppelin and things like that, is the first time I heard Black Sabbath, the first Sabbath album, and with all the storm and everything like that. And it was the creepiest thing I'd ever heard, and I found it quite chilling. As a teenager, that was the most different thing I'd heard. And little do you know that is going to lead to a serious heavy metal addiction later on in life. But that was, I suppose, there, and the chart rundown, all the punk, Sex Pistols coming out, being so controversial at that time, then Maiden being in the charts, all of that. Heavy metal was in theatres, or rock and metal. There were no stadium gigs or arenas for metal music. So you were always seeing them in a place that was between 600 and 3,000. Nothing bigger than that, really. So I suppose that's where I've got those early connections to. And it was one night. I worked night shifts. My shift started at 11 o'clock. And what I would do, I'd be able to go and see a gig before. So Birmingham Odeon wasn't that far from where I worked. And I used to go and see everybody there. I saw Metallica. I saw Maiden there twice. Metallica twice. I saw Bon Jovi there twice. And it's only, maybe it was like 1,500 people, small venue really for those bands as they got on. Ozzy was playing there. And Ronnie James Dio was there on his Holy Diver tour, which, talking about coming to things new, I didn't know his history. And I saw him sing Children of the Sea. And something happened to me. And when I got to work to do my night shift after, I was like, well, am I going to be pushing this vacuum cleaner around for the rest of my life? Or if I could do what I want to do, what would it be? And the answer was simple. If I could do anything, I want to be like Ronnie James Dio, sing in a band and tour the world. And that was it. After that, I just, it was like, well, why couldn't you do that? There's absolutely no reason. I didn't have any kids. I was a young man, had no commitments, didn't own a house, no mortgage, no nothing. Why not do that then? So that night, I changed from becoming a hotel worker and a cleaner and a night porter. From then on, I was a rock singer and working a job, trying to get it. And that was it. That was it. That was the night that changed my life, changed the direction of my life. And a few weeks after that, I'm looking in the local paper, little thing, heavy metal singer required, no experience necessary.
You're like, I'm in.
Okay, that's me. And I'd been writing a few ideas for songs and things, and I went along to that audition. It was Wolfsbane, and Jeff and Jace had been at school together. They started the band at school, and they gave me a chance, and we were in the back of Jeff's garage, and that's where it all started. I thought I sounded like Ronnie James Dio. I thought that's how I would sound when I opened my mouth to sing. They said, what have you got that might go with this? I actually sounded like a dog that was being tortured. But since I was the only one that went for it, I got it. That was it. Sometimes all you have to do is show up. And I was lucky. And we just stayed together for years and years and made some great music. But that was the start, really. And it was a journey not too different to you, where then I started finding out about all these other great bands and this great, powerful, passionate music. And that was it. I, like a lot of other people, I fell in love with heavy metal. And now I I like all kinds of music. My favourite, I love big singers, no matter what genre of music
Mhm.
they are. And I like distinctive voices. So it doesn't have to be a perfect voice. I like people, it sounds like they've lived a life. Like from
Mhm.
Bon Scott, David Lee Roth, Brian Johnson, right through to James Hetfield, the late Ronnie James Dio. All of those voices had a different, Eric
Mhm.
Adams from Manowar, all of those different voices. So that's what got me really. I just love that about rock and metal. People that learnt to sing because it was the only job left in the band, or they were forced to do it, and I really like that about it. And I've never tried to do anything except sound like I'm telling the story and I'm telling the truth. And and it's as I've gone on and got more experience, it's got better. And your story about Bruce sounds really different on the X Factor album. Is a story of a lot of people going down the rabbit hole of Blaze Bayley and finding out the Blaze Bayley universe with all the different
Mhm.
albums, and that's a lot of fun for me.
Yeah.
And
It, it
especially, yeah, it's nice.
it's been great for me, but I wanted to say I'm glad you touched on it. What I love is your voice is extremely unique, and everything you had said that you look for in other bands, I've noticed in you. It's like your voice. It says you've lived a life, and you have a certain command and a confidence in your voice that for me just stands out, and it's very inspiring. And
Thank you.
so I definitely appreciate that. Prior to joining, did you sing around the house? Did you sing in chorus? Was there
Well,
something?
here's
Did you know
you
you
know
could
what,
sing?
my history of vocalization is a little bit spotty because when I was, what would it be, when I'd be 13, 14 at school, then I saw the choir practice and people disappearing like one of the lunch times each week, and I went and I tried to join the choir, and after three things they just kicked me out. They said you're too loud. Probably I was just
Yeah.
out of key as well. But I didn't have much sense of music then. But I knew I liked to sing. And at home, then my grandmother Mario Lanza was her heartthrob, and of course one of the greatest singers. A tragic story, Mario Lanza, but one of the greatest singers ever to appear in film as
Wow.
a tenor singer, and Elvis Presley, and these big singers. And my mother liked big singers as well. So that was, I was always exposed to that. And then later on, I saw a school band, well, the band that came from school. They tried to be like the Sex Pistols and do that. And I used to look at that guy. He's a bit older than me and a couple of years older, which meant all the world, didn't it, back then? And I thought, yeah, I really think I could do that. And nothing ever came of it anyway. And when I worked in a hotel, the Hoover had something like he was like a D minor or something like that, or a low G minor, something hard. And I would sing to myself to block out that noise so something else was going on because I didn't have there's no Walkman back then.
Yeah.
So I found myself singing a lot. And in that hotel that I used to clean up, I used to do the night shift. There was a baby grand piano in the vault, never locked. And I got to plink away on that. And that's where I composed my first songs, just, seeing what chords, finding out chords for myself and vocalizing a few odd phrases that I had. So, and I would see bands, and I suppose when I saw Ronnie James Dio that night, everything just went poof, clicked.
Yeah.
He sings. I enjoy singing. He's on tour performing. I'm a lonely, nerdy geek working a night shift, dreaming of just a girl that would talk to me. You know, that's it. I didn't have a social life or anything. I was 19 years old and I worked from 11 o'clock till 10 in the morning. I never had it. That was it. I never went out. If I did go out, I never had any friends. It was horrible.
Mm-hmm.
And then I dreamed of being in a band then, and to have the opportunity. Then when we got together, some spark was lit between the three of us. We were on fire, and my voice has gone through so many changes over the years. I'm not a natural singer. I come from the great school of rock singing, which is you're the singer, so do it. That's it. And you get on with it, and then you find out what it is. So my voice has gone through different transitions and changes and unnatural. So where I am now, with a few bits of coaching along the way and a few singing lessons here and there, and when I've had problems, what's the solution to this and all of that? Where I am now is now I have a voice that has developed, but also I'm in control of. It's my instrument now. So now if I write a lyric and I find the melody and the chords, the music that's appropriate, and we can get the melody and the lyric and the music all going together in that perfect storm, I can interpret that. I can bring that to life now in a way that I couldn't as a young man. As a young man, everything's loud or high, loud or fierce, and more aggressive or longer or bigger. But as a man, then it's not about that. Then as a man, it's telling you a story. It's inviting you to become part of this journey and listen and then feel. Ultimately, I'm searching for your heart. I'm trying to get inside and then get to your heart. Forget your brain. Turn it off for a couple of hours. For the 44 minutes it takes to listen to my album, turn your brain off. Make time to sit down with your headphones on, feel safe, drift off on that journey that I've for you. Mm-hmm. So for me, the only for me personally, I'm not criticizing anybody, but for me, I've always tried to make this part, this area of my voice, the strong part. When I'm composing, I want to sing, put my melodies from this range. Not that there are glorious highs and different shades that other people use. I'm not going there. That's not me. I'm here. Mm-hmm. And that's the way I've been. And I'm very, very lucky that in those Maiden years, then working with Steve Harris as a producer, I think that was his first album as producer, full producer was X Factor. He had a sense that there was something else there. And he found this other part of my voice. I never knew that it was even there. And he found that Fortunes of War, that part of my voice that is, Como Estas Amigos, and that he found that. And then once I knew I had that, I had this extra thing to play with, to compose with, and that's where I am. That everything comes from that part where I came from Wolfsbane as a dynamic singer, trying to find power and passion. Then through Iron Maiden, finding, it's not just that power and passion. The root of the emotion is here in this dynamic. And I've got control of that now, and I feel I'm able to connect with my listener in a much deeper way. And as well, I'm the producer. So that's another level on the creative journey. So in your early days, producer comes along, yeah, this is how I think you should do it, dot, dot, dot. As you get familiar with the recording process, well, no, actually what I want to do, I want to put this here so that my listener's attention goes here. And then I can bring something here, then I can go there, then I can lift them up from here. Yeah. So that is part of it. When I'm producing the album and when we're mixing, Chris Appleton and myself, this is constant toing and throwing it. It's like a storm in springtime where things are blowing about you, ideas are going, and what's happening here until eventually things coming. Right, we're bringing you on this journey. Now come with me here because we're going to go over there, and you're gonna hear this melody, and you're gonna understand it, and then you're gonna know why it's relevant to this next bit. And those are the journeys that we like to do. It's parts of a huge musical jigsaw. We don't know what the picture is. We don't know where the pieces are. We've got to find the pieces and paint the picture. And then we've got to make a puzzle for you to pick at and go, here's all the bits after you've heard it. Mm-hmm. And it has to be worth listening to 100 times. That's our goal. I don't think we get that every time. I know there are some fans absolutely have listened to it. But at the back of our mind, we'd love this to be interesting enough and motivating enough that you would go, oh yeah, I'll put that. It's still your favourite record 6 months in. Mm-hmm. You still want to hear it. So there's that. I know it probably sounds really arrogant, but why not try to aspire to that? Because I think, my favourite records it must be 100 listens in by now.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it makes sense, and it actually segues perfectly into where I was going next. I am very excited for next week because Circle of Stone comes out, and I'm not gonna lie, I did a reaction to Rage, and that song has been with me since. The story behind Rage, I love the artwork in the video is fantastic, but this kind of leads me to your process, and we can just use Rage as an example of like when you're writing a song, because it seems like you're doing all of it, you're writing, producing, every bit of it. Does it come from just the idea of behind Rage, let's just say, and like how does that morph itself into what we hear today? Does it start off as do you have an idea in your head, or
I think for most people, there's not a fixed starting place. So what I like to do, if I can, I like to have a lot of lyrics almost finished. Doesn't have to be too finished, but almost finished in a format that if Chris Appleton or Luke or one of my other friends that I write with go at something, and I'll look through the lyrics then and go, for the feeling that I'm getting off that music, off those chords, off that riff, for that feeling, have I got a lyric here that kind of goes with that feeling? And I'll try a few different things, and if nothing sticks, then I'll leave it and we'll try something else. Or something will stick and we'll go, what about this? Da, da, da. And it'll be, oh yeah. And that is going somewhere. Where would it go after that then? And then you're on your journey. And then an interesting thing happens is that the idea then takes on its own identity. And What you have to do then, well, what we have to do is find where it's going. Where is that going now? We're no longer directing it, we're following it. Where do you go? Right, we'll put these pieces in place. It's like building a bridge as you're going over it. So that's exciting and that's interesting to do. Frustrating, but exhilarating at the same time.
When you finally have something.
Yeah. And other times I've got some melody or a little phrase and I'll sing it and I'll go, what can you put with this? And oh no, then we'll find, oh yeah, that's good. And pretty soon you've got Circle of Stone. Oh, well, where did that come from? And it's nice. You know, there's no real set way, but there are a bunch of things that we have that we always try. So when you've got nothing, that's when your technique is. If you've got a strong technique that you've developed and you've got nothing, you go, okay, we got nothing. Let's start here and hope we get somewhere.
So I've only heard the 2 songs that have been released for the album so far, and I've loved both of them. So, like I said, Rage sticks with me. I think I feel like the story behind it, it just definitely sticks with me. But obviously, you've heard the whole album because you created the whole album. What is your favorite song from the new album? Like, what's one that if you could only say, here's one song to check out, which song?
Well, tomorrow we've got the 3rd single coming, and that's called Mind Reader. And that's one of my very favourites because a constant theme running through my music, here and there, it crops up again and again, is don't let people put you down. But more importantly, don't put yourself down. Don't talk bad about yourself. Don't use self-diminishing language. Don't allow, and I know it sounds a bit psychobabble, but you know it's true, the internal dialogue that we all have. Hey, watch those words, because words, and I'll tell you this as an expert, it's my job, I work with words, are so important. If they weren't, why would they be so powerful? That in the right context, they will stir you to battle, and in the worst context, they will make you crumble and you will be defeated with only words if that person is cruel enough or smart enough, depending which way you look at it. So that's what Mind Reader is about. And the other thing is, don't judge me by the way I look. You don't know me. You're judging me, you don't know my name. So you go, oh, he's this, he's that. You don't know me. You don't even know my name. And you already have an opinion about the sort of person I am and the values I am. Don't think so. What, you can read my mind, can you? No, you can't. Because if you could read my mind, you'd see that I am fierce and I don't stop. Okay? That's what Mind Reader is about. It's a short song, really compact, powerful, in my opinion. So I hope that you're going to enjoy it.
Well, actually, when you're describing it, it speaks to me, and it reminded me of a situation. So I started this channel because I just wanted to learn new music around the world. Like I said, the Iron Maiden thing like really hit home because I was thinking, what else am I missing out there? And that's kind of what started this. And so, being a new Iron Maiden fan, I kind of took it all in. And a couple weeks ago, I had this Iron Maiden tribute band on, and they're literally, like, in my opinion, the best Iron Maiden tribute band, called Eyes of the Nile. And we were talking afterwards, and they were really, they came into the studio and they were really kind of being very positive. And I was sitting there going, well, it's a small little channel. I'm still, still doing this. And they said, when you get somebody, from Iron Maiden on your channel, give us a shout out. And I was like, oh, I'm way too small for that. I can't do it. And they actually boosted me up and were like, no, you can do anything you want, you know. And so quite frankly, they inspired me to reach out to, you know, see if we could set this up. So I know exactly what you're talking about, because, you know, sometimes we do need that boost of that confidence that you can do it.
I had a lot of people say to me on my journey that I couldn't do it, that wasn't good enough. People said, well, you just
Mm-hmm.
can't sing. You're never going to make it. What makes you think you can do it? All of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's partly dumb, well, partly stupid and partly courageous, that you're too stupid not to try it. Why can't I do it? You just say,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, why can't I? You're thinking it, you don't think of the reasons you can't do it. But, yeah. And then
Mm-hmm.
the bravery that you find is that, okay, no, okay, second no, oh, third no, oh, fifth no, oh, you can't do it, this, all of that. And you just keep moving forward. You pick yourself up, and as a band, you go, who said we can't do it? Who are they?
Mm-hmm.
Who are they to say we can't? Look at them and their life. Where did they stopped on the way? I'm not stopping. So I think
Yeah.
it's easy to get weighed down and make an excuse by using the language that someone else has used and their opinion of you. Well, your life starts now. Your life starts now.
Mm-hmm.
Your life starts now. Your life isn't what happened. That's your education. That's not your life.
Mm-hmm.
That's your education. And your life starts now. And there, where you're going, yeah, all right. Doesn't matter that to get there quickly. All that matters for me, you take one small step in the right direction. And every so often you have a look
Mm-hmm.
up. Oh yeah, we should be going over there. Just move. We'll go that way. That's all it is. It's just, and wherever you are, try and enjoy it. But don't listen to people who say that you're not good enough or tell you who you are. They don't know who you are.
Mm-hmm.
They can't read your
Yeah.
mind. They can't.
Yeah.
Only
Yeah.
someone
Absolutely.
that
And like,
really, only someone that really, really loves you, that you're really close to, can read your mind.
mm-hmm.
They can intuit what you, because you're in sync with that person. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. No one else.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm just so thankful that they gave me the encouragement to be able to, you know, make this happen. And so it just proves that you can pretty much do anything, you know, and it's amazing. So I had to give them a shout out, because, you know, I like I said, it was very inspirational to me, and you've been very inspirational, you know, in the various interviews I've seen, and just you know, following your history has been extremely inspirational, and, you know, thank you for that. So as far as, like, you know, I'm once again getting all of your solo work as well, you know, all kind of mashed up at the same exact time. What's your favorite solo work song, whether it's to perform, or one that you would say to a new person who's never heard Blaze Bayley?
They all have different facets of my personality in them. Some of them are challenging, but not in a way that you would expect. There are some interesting
Mm-hmm.
lyrics on my trilogy, which is 3 albums with one story about a man who does not know if he is human and thinks
Mm-hmm.
mistakenly that he's been betrayed and he's been turned into something he never expected because of that betrayal. Then
Mm.
there's a lot of different things. Well, you can say that my first album, Silicon Messiah, Ghost in the Machine, is a song I'm very proud of. And you know what? It seems to be coming that it's so relevant now, because talking about AI and the ability now is very close for you to store your consciousness on a machine, on a hard drive, and for algorithms to replicate your thought processes. So that's really scary. And that song was very powerful when we did it, and it feels really good. It's really stood the test of time. They just have to be great songs. And that was it. And that's it. And I was lucky to my ideas were good enough to be on the X Factor and Virtual 11 album. We had some great ones. And my song, Man on the Edge, was chosen as the first single off the X Factor, and it went to #1 in rock charts worldwide. It was good, and the album was #1 in quite a few countries. So it was very, very exciting time. And to feel that my ideas had been accepted and were good enough to be part of Iron Maiden, that was an incredible feeling.
Yeah, like that's huge, because you have to wonder, okay, now I'm coming into their world. Are they, and I know they all kind of write and they all do that piece, but to be able to get like the #1 single out of it, that's fantastic. So what was the transition going from Wolfsbane to Maiden, as far as the the level of nervousness, like
It's the
it's just
same
night and
job.
day, or
It's
same?
the
Okay.
same job. You're playing gigs, you're doing a few interviews, you make a video. It's you write songs, you record them in the studio. All the elements exactly the same. It's rock, metal, music. It's heavy music, but there's just a few differences. So I think the sports analogy is best. We call it football, in your soccer, we call it football, don't we? And for us, well, you can play on a Sunday and with a bunch of friends, and you're in the Sunday league. And it's just amateur, you work your day job and you play with your friends on a Sunday. That is exactly the same rules as the World Cup, where you are representing your country. But the pressure and the expectation is entirely different.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what it's like. It's all the same elements. The video is a bit more intense because it's a bit more serious and all like this. The interviews, there's 100 times more interviews to do, to tell people. More people are interested in you than you knew would ever, ever existed. In Wolfsbane, then most people, it seemed, just were never that interested in the lyrics. And I agonised over the lyrics, even the simple ones, to get them perfect. And in Maiden, so many people, what the lyrics about? What does this mean? It's like, oh, wow, somebody's interested in what I'm writing about and taking it seriously. So that's the difference. And in Wolfsbane, we never had the chance to do that big, long tour. And when Steve Farris said to me, the tour's going to be about 9 months, I'm like, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
I'm on my way. Because in
Awesome.
Wolfsbane, all we ever wanted to do was live on a tour bus. That was it. We were just like, and stay on tour. We never got that. And we were just miles away from that dream in the finish. But in Maiden, that became a reality.
So
and
what was the
that was
best?
exciting.
No, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. What's the best, now when I think about that, I think about, the stages and what was the best moment on stage that you had with Maiden? Was it
Well,
whether it's a big
it's
crowd, little crowd, just was
yeah,
there anything that stood
it's
out?
not what you expect really, because
Hmm.
I did play huge places. We played 10,000 people a night in some places, and then in Brazil it was 75,000 people one night, 50,000, and it's incredible,
Hmm. Yeah.
incredible gigs. But for me, I suppose I'm a bit romantic in that way, is when something had gone a little bit wrong and somebody booked us into a smaller show where we shouldn't really have been,
Hmm.
then it made me think this must have been what it like when they started playing to 1,000 people, 1,500
Hmm.
people. This must have been what it was like when they were starting out. And of course, that's much closer to what I had been doing with Wolfsbane. So I was in
Hmm.
my element really.
Yeah, the
And
comfort zone.
yeah, so a couple of those smaller ones where you couldn't fit a stage set in, they're just maybe about, they were about, on a world tour of about 9 months, maybe there were 5 gigs total that was so small that you couldn't fit everything in. And the one, Eddie was there standing up the whole time because that's all that would fit in over the back.
It's awesome.
It was incredible, and there was no barrier, and it was in the round, and
Wow.
I could actually go jump on the crowd.
Hmm.
It was madness, and so those few, and there was one. There was one in Israel as well, small one, where there was some big oil storage tanks up. It was kind of half outdoor. The stage was covered, but the rest was outdoor because they got no problem with the weather there. And
Hmm.
on top of the oil storage tanks, fans had climbed up and they were looking down on the gig so they could look over the fence to see the band. It was
Oh, that's
absolute
awesome.
madness.
That's awesome. So, so what would you say the biggest thing you learned from that time frame was? Because yeah, so many things had to be coming at you at the same time.
I think it's musical, really.
Mhm.
That's that's what I really take away from it. The the standards so high. What it really means to be professional and
Mhm.
really means to be at the top and at that level. Once I experienced that, I never wanted to go back. I'm
Mhm.
like, now my songwriting, there's nothing accidental about it. A lot of it, if it's not going right, okay, I know what to do to sort it out or what to leave behind and try again later. All of those lessons, where my focus should be, when I take all of that I learned with Wolfsbane, and then how my voice grew after Iron Maiden, and then the musical things that I learned and the songwriting things that I learned from Steve Harris and the guys, that's the thing that I really take on. And you see that through my work,
Mhm.
from Silica Messiah album, going all the way through to Circle of Stone album. If you listen, you'll go, you can go, you know what? That's got to be related to
Mhm.
that song. That's got to be related to Virtual 11. That's got to be something that where that lesson was learned. And I'm very proud that I've been through that and that influence, and playing with 2 guitars, having that was so different. And I
Mhm.
loved it. I loved what you could do. I never thought you could do so much and create so much atmosphere with 2 guitars. and that afterwards, that's what I wanted to do. So that was the
Mm-hmm.
core of Silica Messiah and 10th Dimension, my first two albums after Iron Maiden. What can I do with these two guitars? How can I bring this song to life? How is the journey going to change? And that was very exciting, frustrating sometimes, but very exciting. And on Circle of Stone, then it goes so far on the journey that we take you to a place where we turn you upside down and go, yeah, I won't give you any spoilers, I hope, but we go, yeah, you're listening to that, you're focused on that, but now you notice what could have been there. Why isn't it there? Now, because you're here with this, and that's part of the journey. And when you pick up, as you're going, maybe fourth time, fifth time, you start to pick up what the second guitar is doing on certain parts. Yeah, first time you listen, you go, "Oh, this is nice," and hopefully you won't get bored, and it picks up, and you at the end of it, and you go, "Oh, great! Oh, I'll listen again." Fourth time, you're going to be going, "Bloody hell, that guitar does that there? Why? Would he go do that?" And so I love exploring those possibilities, and of course, the band that I have, the people that I work with are so talented that you ask the question, can you do it like this? And the answer is never no. It's always, give me a minute. That's it. So, and creatively, it's huge.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. So with the album coming out, I know you tour still regularly. Um, is there a chance that you're gonna come to the U.S. so I can see? Like,
We're always
I gotta
trying.
see. I gotta see you live.
We're always trying. So we're always open to offers. It's blazebayley.net if people want to try and bring us over. So we're always trying. It's just the reality is we hate to cancel anything. So if we say we're coming, we want to come no matter what. And that's expensive. That's it.
Yeah.
It's just, it's a lot. And I have a lot of fans in USA, but they're all over the country. If I could gather my fans into the Blaze Bayley village, then we'd have a fantastic concert. But everyone's scattered around, so it's difficult. And USA's vast, and it's a vast, competitive place. And you need to be competitive if you're going to shine amongst all the great bands that you have there and the musicians who are trying so hard to get noticed. So it's a lot. We want to go there. I've been there. I love touring there. It's just, but it's just a challenge. It's a challenge for the bands that live in USA to try and be known outside their own city and outside their own state. It's a lot to get known there. So for me, being a small part of the Iron Maiden story, to come to USA, it's more challenging. We've done it and we will do it again. We just don't know when. But we love to come back. It's always there. How could we fit USA? So how could we get back to USA? How can we make that?
Well, selfishly, just the East Coast would work for me. Just Washington D.C. area. So selfishly, make it in the East Coast at least. But I'm really excited because one of the things I've heard about your shows and what I've seen is you are so amazing to your fans. I don't know that I've seen anybody who loves their fans more than you. And the fact that I've heard you say in the past that every show is a meet and greet. You have a meet and greet, and every show it's part of the ticket price. Where a lot of bands, will charge these like major expensive amounts for a meet and greet, and you are just so open with your fans, and I absolutely respect and appreciate that.
Thank you.
And so speaking of your fans, I have one of my regulars to my channel is a huge fan of yours, and I do kind of like to keep these interviews secret. So I just kind of reached out. I'm like, hey, if you could ask a question to Blaze, what would you say? So this one is from Music Addict Den, which is her name, and in the on at least how I know her. But the question she has is, she says, "I know you were inspired by Dio. Are there any other influences, and also which younger, currently active singers do you admire or do you like?"
Well, just I'm so old, man. It goes back to Paul Rogers, Bad Company 3, Bon Scott, and I love Brian Johnson's voice. I wouldn't say it was much of an influence, but certainly Bon
Mm-hmm.
Scott, with his style of talking and singing, always feel like he's talking to you, telling me a story. Then I really like that. Dave Lee Roth and all these early Van Halen things, where it's exciting and it's exuberant, it's joyous. It's not by the book.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't predict it. What's he going to come up with next? I like all of that as much as I like Eric Adams, and Ronnie James Dio was an influence. Then in the world of rock. So I would say, yeah, it changes, every so often. And with the modern singers, then the lad from Sabaton, I just love his voice and the way he sings.
Joachim.
Yeah, I love his voice and what he puts into his songs and the way those lyrics come to life as he vocalizes them is absolutely incredible for me.
I'm a huge Sabaton fan, and actually, I found them shortly after Maiden, and just the idea that they take military battles, and I'm a big fan of history as well, so it just it melds perfectly. So you know that's fantastic. I have one more question. It's just and this is I always kind of have a it's a goofy question. I don't know if it's goofy or not, but quite frankly, I've seen a bunch of interviews and I've never gotten the I've never seen the question asked. I'm a big fan of facial hair, and I love how you have the chops. And when did that come about? Is because it seems like even with Maiden, you had that going for you.
Yeah, I
And it's like,
think it was starting towards, it was serious in Maiden because Elvis Presley has always been there through, my family listening to it. And Are You Lonesome Tonight, when I was a little kid of 5 and 6, my grandmother listening to that. So now you see that's going in. And that baritone and that dark and lower edge and what Elvis did in music in 1953 and 1954, then that's such an exciting time in music. And in the 70s, a lot of people had big sideburns,
yeah,
when I was coming up. And I think that stuck with me. And
I think they're fantastic.
that was it.
I'm
Thanks,
yeah,
man.
I think it's awesome, and I often wonder why more people don't
Because you
do
can do
that.
so
And
many things with facial hair.
Yeah.
especially with modern trimmers. It's not
Hmm.
like it was years ago with a couple of batteries or,
Hmm.
things. With modern trimmers, you can get some real shapes in there and distinctive
Yeah.
things. So you've got
Exactly.
more options than we had years ago. So why not take advantage of it?
I'm not gonna lie. I told my wife. I told her about this interview, and I basically introduced you to her, and I was like, I just want you to know, after this interview, I'm gonna be rocking the same chops.
What
So,
the
uh,
worst is the shaving accident
mm,
where you go, hang on, I'll try and even it up.
mm.
Hang on, I'll try and even it. That's it. No! It's all gone. No! I don't want to go out. No! What's wrong? What's wrong with your ears? Nothing. Nothing. No. Well, what's wrong with
That's
my hands
awesome.
there? No reason. No reason. That's it. Those are the
That would
rare
totally be
occasions
my.
I've had a shaving accident. Or I've gone, you know what? It's got so out of whack now. Zip, zip, start again. I'm not going out for 2 weeks.
That would so be my nightmare if I even did start, but that's awesome. Thank you so much, because I've always wondered, and it's great to have the story behind them. And so I honestly, Blaze, I cannot thank you enough for sitting
Thanks,
down with
Matt.
me.
Thanks
It's
for having me on
been
the show. Wish you good luck with your show, man.
Thank you. And your album coming out next week, Circle
Yeah,
of Stone. I can't wait to get it.
the new video is on Friday and 23rd of February. The album is streaming everywhere. I would say to people, stream it as much as you can. And if you like it, buy it on blazebayley.net, the official site.
I have the vinyl coming to me, hopefully. I've already ordered it. I am like so excited for it, but actually, yeah, my folks absolutely need to check it out. I can't wait till the day when it comes out. I'm going to be streaming it and playing it all around. So, like I said, thank you so much for sitting down with me. It's just been an honor.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks for having me.
So there you have it, folks. That was my interview with the one and only Blaze Bayley. Definitely go out and pick up Circle of Stone when it comes out. It's going to be an amazing album. I personally can't wait. So, and I'm going to do some more reactions for it. So it's one of those things you'll definitely want to check out. If you like this video, please go ahead and hit the like button. If you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button. I've got a lot of cool things planned for this year, and you're not going to want to miss them. So definitely hit that subscribe button and the notification button. So when videos like this come out, you'll be the first to find out. With that being said, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.